You are not going to believe the World War III level battle I had with an apartment manager. Let me tell you what happened. This was about 25 years ago. So this was before the age of emails and texting and cell phones. All of the information that we got from the apartment complex came by way of a piece of paper slipped under our front door. Well, this apartment manager hated us. I don't know why. We're good tenants, but we got letters under our door all the time. Either our kids were being too loud, or they didn't like the way that we were keeping our cat, or we put the pizza boxes in the wrong place instead of down in the whatever, and we parked in the wrong spot. Like every single thing you could do wrong, we did wrong at that apartment complex. And I got so mad that every time I had to walk past our front door, I glance and check and see, and I would get anxiety over whether or not we were going to have another letter under the door complaining about something that we weren't expecting. So one time I was so pissed that we got this letter under the door, and that it felt so invasive. It just felt like this was inside my home. So I looked up the phone number for the apartment manager, and I called her at home. And she was so pissed. She said, "This is my home." And I said, "Well, this is my home, and you keep sending me nasty letters under my door in my home, and this is where I live. This is not our workplace. Like, this is your workplace, so this is my home." Oh my God, it just got ugly. But let me tell you what happened when we moved out. We ended up moving out about a week before our lease was up. And on the day that we moved out, my husband at the time said, "You know what, go ahead and lock the door." And I was like, "Why should I lock the door? There's nothing even left inside that." He's like, "I don't care, just lock it." So I locked it. So I was absolutely sure that I locked this door. So I went back a week later by myself with my two little guys at the time. They were three and one, I think, like barely one. I think my little guy was not even a year old. And I went back with them to do all of the ending paperwork. And I thought to myself, I should go and just check and see that everything's in order before I do a walkthrough with her. So I went up and I just checked and opened, and I checked on the door before putting my key in, and it was open. And I was like, that's weird, because I know for sure that we locked it on our way out. So I walk in and the place is trashed. I am telling you, like, there was like soy sauce and barbecue sauce and just like all kinds of things that stain all over the carpet, in every single room, all over the walls, just up and down, and in the sinks. And this place, it looked horrible. It looked awful. There was no way that that any of these stains were gonna come out of the carpets. And also, and what struck me as really odd was that there were rods all lined up in the living room, like the shower curtain rod and the rods from the closets, kind of like you would do if you were replacing those or painting around them for the next tenants. And I thought that was really weird. So I went down and I said to this manager, who we hated each other. I don't have a lot of hate in my heart. I really, truly don't. But this was one of those exceptions. And so I told the manager what had happened. And she said, "Well, I wouldn't worry about it. I'm sure your renter's insurance will cover it." And I was like, "We don't have renter's insurance," because at that time they weren't requiring it. So I was like, "I don't have renter's insurance. Like, how much is this going to cost me to get this replaced?" And she's like, "Well, with carpets and everything, you're looking at about $800. Well, 25 years ago, for a family with two little guys, $25 was like, it might have been $1 million. It might as well have been, because there's no way I could have come up with $800 at the time. So I started panicking. I started freaking out, and I was like, "I don't have $800. Like, I don't even know what to do." And she said, "Well, there's a mop and a bucket I could let you borrow if you want to go and see if you can't clean it up." I was like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, there's no way these stains are going to come out with a mop and a bucket." So I took a minute to breathe. And I thought to myself, what would I do if I had still been living there and this had happened? And I realized, well, I would have called the police for vandalism. So I called the police. And the police came, and I walked up the apartment with the police officer, and we walked through the place, and he's like, yeah, this is pretty bad. And on the way out, he said, why don't you lock the door? So I tried to lock the door with my key, and it didn't fit. So what happened was the apartment manager had already told the janitorial staff that was responsible for going in there and cleaning it up that we had moved out already. And I'm not sure how they knew, because we hadn't even told them that we'd moved in a week early. What happened was the janitor had already replaced the locks on the doors. And that's why all the rods were out in the living room too, because he had already started prepping the place for the new tenants. And at some point, this apartment manager had gone into our place and trashed it. So when the policeman figured this out, he went into the office, and I could see them through the glass, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. And honest to God, at this point, I was so freaked out that all of a sudden I realized that I only saw one kid, and I have 2 kids, and I was like, oh my God, where's my baby? And the baby was on my hip. So that's how freaked out and just like stressed out I was. So the police officer went in, and he talked to her for about 5 or 6 minutes. And he came back out, and he goes, don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. Thank you so much. The police officer had her number. Like, he had her figured out. The minute he walked in, he was like, okay, I know what this is. And the thing that pisses me off the most is that I have the wherewithal to call the police. What if I was somebody who was really, really struggling, like who didn't have those resources or didn't trust that I could rely on those resources? I mean, how many people, I wonder, have they taken advantage of? Anyway, that's the part that really pissed me off, but holy shit. I've been really nervous to live in apartments ever since then. I will say that the apartment that I'm in now is like so bougie, and I trust that that would never happen in a place like this. So, whew, some advantages to growing older. Anyway, thanks for listening to my story. Hope something like this never happens to you and to the woman who did this to us. I'm just saying. Okay, bye.